Good day, everyone. We are representatives from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and we will be discussing the Clean Water Program. One of the major problems in the Philippines is the issue of water pollution. As early as 1996, monitoring of the country's rivers showed that only 51% of the classified rivers still met for their most beneficial use. The rest were already polluted from domestic, industrial, and agricultural resources. Polluted waters cause illnesses and diseases in the country due to domestic wastewater and lack of safe drinking water. In response, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources put together a comprehensive strategy to protect water quality. This is the Clean Water Program.
The Philippines is a developing country that is also undergoing rapid urbanization and industrialization. Increasing population along with this reduce the quality of Philippine water bodies. In a report made by Water Environment Partnership in Asia in 2003, the government monitoring data indicates that first, just over a third or 36% of the country's river systems are classified as sources of public water supply. Second, up to 58% of groundwater sampled is contaminated with coliform and needs treatment. Third, approximately 31% of illness monitored for a 5-year period were caused by waterborne sources. And last, many areas are experiencing a shortage of water supply during the dry season. A recent article by Borgen Project also stated that out of more than 100 million Filipinos, 9 million rely on unsafe water supply. In fact, water pollution in the Philippines and the lack of proper sewage kills 55 people every day. Water pollution is very evident in the Philippines, with trash and waste, dead aquatic creatures, and dirty seawater. With the growing problem of water pollution, the government implemented the Clean Water Program, which aims to improve the quality of bodies of water in the Philippines.
The mandate of DENR. DENR is the primary agency responsible for the conservation, management, development, proper use, licensing, and regulation of all the country's natural resources to ensure equitable sharing of its benefits to the present and future Filipinos.
For the implementation, the Clean Water Program is implemented based on existing environmental law, particularly Philippine Clean Water Act. It lays forth a detailed plan for dealing with the deterioration of our water bodies. It aims to improve water quality of priority rivers and other critical water bodies, including lakes and bays, through continuous massive cleanup, monitoring of industries, and rehabilitation of esteros or rivers through partnership agreements such as the Adapt an Estero program. Furthermore, water classification is a very important component of water quality management, since the application of effluent standard is dependent on this classification. Also, the designation of water quality management areas is prioritized. The following is a discussion of the two main strategies of implementation. The first one is the Adopt an Estero program. The initiative brings beneficial, demonstrable improvement to both communities and ecosystem. It is made possible through the teamwork of Estero community, donor partner, local government unit, other government agencies, and the DNR to clean the esteros of waste, trash, and silt until they are entirely cleaned up. Unfortunately, the actions have been limited due to the pandemic, but the DNR coordinates with the adopters. Here are the two creeks under the program. We could see the before and after picture that clearly shows the improvement of the creek. The first one is the Lingunan Creek at Valenzuela City. Their private sector partner is the March Resources Manufacturing Corporation. The second one is the Zamboanga Channel Creek. Their private sector partner is Jollibee Camins Branch and the 905th Philippine Army. The water quality management areas. A water quality management area, as stated in Memorandum Circular Number 2009-15, will consist of surface waters, whether natural or man-made. Specifically, these are referred to streams, rivers and creeks, lakes, and marine waters. Will also cover the land that is within the hydrologic unit identified, including residential, industrial, commercial, agricultural, tourism, forest, and protected areas. The objective is to protect the water bodies through stakeholders' collaboration by maintaining the water quality within the water quality guidelines or criteria, conforming to the water bodies classification, Class C or Class SC, or even improve the quality to higher classification from C to B or SC to SB. Who are the responsible for the implementation of WQMAS? It should have a governing board made up of representatives of mayors and governors, of member LGUs, and representatives of relevant national government agencies, duly registered non-governmental organization, water utility sector, and business sector. They are tasked to plan, monitor, and be the coordinating body. The governing board will be chaired by the DNR representative and in charge of reviewing the WQMA action plan through EMB. On the other hand, LGUs having memberships on more than one management board must just choose one single representative for all management areas in which they are member. A technical secretariat and a multi-sectoral group for water quality monitoring and surveillance shall also be provided to the WQMA. Rule 5 of DNR Administrative Order No. 2005-10, Procedural Manual for the Designation of Water Quality Management Areas. In designating WQMA, it is important to look consideration on the following to identify strategies and action plans to effectively achieve the water quality objectives or improvement. Water quality, sources of pollution, beneficial use of receiving water body. Conditions in designating a water quality management area. Number 1. It shall utilize an appropriate physiographic unit such as a watershed, river basin, or water resource region. However, the use of the lowest appropriate level such as the sub-basin or microshed is deemed more suitable from the standpoint of ecological, financial, organizational, and institutional consideration. Number 2. It should have a similar hydrological, hydrogeological, meteorological, or geographic conditions which affect the physiochemical, biological, bacteriological reactions and diffusion of pollutants in the water body. Number 3, it shall share a defined common interest such as, but not limited to, similar water quality related development programs, prospects, or problems. Number 4, the water quality of specific water bodies within the physiographic unit chosen may be 1. A non-attainment area that needs immediate water quality management interventions to improve the water quality. Number 2, a combination of non-attainment area and attainment area. Attainment area is a body of water that has acceptable levels of water pollutants and therefore meets the water quality guidelines. Number 3, an unattainment area, but water quality management interventions are needed to improve and or preserve its conditions. Process of designation. There are two ways of designation based on who initiated the designation. Number 1, regional office of the department. The designation is initiated through evaluating information using the criteria developed by the department. Number 2, other sources or proponents aside from the DNR, RO through the EMBRO, they may propose WQMA to DNR together with relevant information. Throughout the process such as data gatherings, they should work with DNR and seek consultation. Procedure for designation and redesignation of WQMA. Number 1, gather relevant data or information such as map, major threats to water quality, sources of pollution, and other related data, common interests such as water quality, related development programs and prospects in the areas to be covered by the proposed WQMA, stakeholder support, and socio-economic data. Number 2, evaluate the data and information. It will be evaluated against a set of criteria to ensure that the data is adequate to designate a WQMA. Number 3, coordinate with the National Water Resources Board. Key stakeholders will be identified after which information dissemination and consultation activities will follow. Number 5, conduct public consultations. Not only the key stakeholders are to be informed and consulted on the proposal to designate a WQMA, but also the general public. Public consultations provide an opportunity to inform, educate, and communicate with an identified or targeted public. Evaluate proposal by the EMB Central Office. The proposal to designate a water quality management area must pass evaluation by the EMB Central Office, in particular its Water Quality Management Section. If found to have fully complied with the law, then the proposal will be forwarded to the Office of the Department Secretary with the recommendation for WQMA designation, based on having met the prerequisite for designation such as the completion of all data requirements and the conduct of key stakeholders and public consultations. However, if the proposal is found to have not fully complied with the requirement, then it shall be returned back to the EMBRO with notations. Number 7. Recommend WQMA designation and composition of the GB to the Department Secretary. All final recommendations for WQMA designation and composition of the GB are addressed to the Department Secretary and shall emanate only from the Director, EMBCO. This ensures that each proposal has passed strict evaluation for its compliance with all the requirements found in the CWA. Number 8. Designate WQMA by the DENR Secretary. Rule 5.1.7 of the CWA IRR states that the designation of the WQMA is made by the DENR Secretary upon the recommendation of the EMB. The designation, therefore, shall take the form of a Department Administrative Order. Number 9. Inform the LGUs, NGAAs, Business Civil Society, GOCCS, and water utility sectors to submit nomination in the GB. Number 10. Submit names of GB membership to the DENR. The names of the permanent and alternate members of the GB shall be submitted to the Secretary of the DENR for approval. Number 11. Redesignate WQMA. The redesignation of a WQMA can be undertaken as stated in Rule 5.1.7 of the IRR. Thereafter, this initial WQMA may be subject to review and consultations for readjustment of boundaries and representation in the governing board if necessary. Officially designated WQMA. Priority should be given to the areas where water quality has already exceeded the water quality guidelines to ensure that limited resources is efficiently used. The screening of a WQMA proposal, therefore, may be made according to the intensity of the pollution problems and its impact on the public health and on the regional economy. Area within the jurisdiction of the Laguna Lake Development Authority, the Tigum-Aganan Watershed, WQMA, and the Marilao-May-Kawayan-Obando River System, WQMA. In total, there are 37 officially designated WQMAs, including the LLDA above.
These are the accomplishments of the Clean Water Program as stated in the 2020 DENR report, Status of Water Quality. Out of 39 priority recreational water bodies in 2020, only 36 water bodies were monitored due to strict implementation of community quarantine. Of the 36 water bodies monitored, only 21 or 58% are within the water quality guideline in terms of fecal coliform counts. Here is the list of the 21 beaches within the water quality guidelines. Next are priority rivers. The objective of monitoring priority rivers is to improve water quality and comply with the DENR Administrative Order number 2016-08 or the Water Quality Guideline and General Effluent Standards of 2016. As we can see in the graph, out of 43 rivers monitored in 2020, 47% of 32 water bodies passed the water quality standard for dissolved oxygen, while 49% or 33 water bodies passed the water quality standard chemical oxygen demand. Meanwhile, 4% or 3 water bodies were not monitored due to strict implementation of community quarantine where the water bodies are located. Monitoring of other water bodies. Out of 83 rivers monitored for dissolved oxygen, 60 or 72% are within the water quality guideline. For those that are monitored for biochemical oxygen demand, 82 rivers, 54 or 66% pass the water quality guideline. On monitoring of other recreational waters, there are 120 bathing beaches monitored in 2020, in which 64 or 53% pass the water quality criteria for Class SB or fishery water suitable for commercial propagation of shellfish and intended as spawning areas for milkfish and similar species. Compliance monitoring of firms. Shown in the table below is the compliance monitoring of firms in terms of water quality with corresponding notice of violations issued. The number of discharge permit issued increased in 6,477 during 2020 compared to 5,929 on 2019. The firms monitored also increased in 10,222 compared to 9,060 during 2019. The notices of violation issued are decreased in 3,938 compared to 4,930 last 2019. In all, the percentage of compliance rose to 62% compared to 46% in 2019. In conclusion, the proper and detailed implementations made by the DENR, which are massive cleanup drives, monitoring of industries, water classification, adapt and steer program, and water quality management areas, were reflected by the accomplishments reported by the DENR. Many steers and sewage are cleaned up by removing waste, trash, and slate through the adapt and steer program. As of now, There are 37 priority rivers that are designated for water quality management areas which are and will be undertaking rehabilitation for their improvement and to free the waters from pollution. Also, many bodies of water already passed the water quality standard, which shows that the Clean Water Program is an appropriate and important initiative to improve and protect the quality of water bodies in the Philippines.